What's up guys, it's your boy coming back at you, Mr. Shepherd. Okay, we're going to make an alcohol can stove, and the way to do it is very simple. You need one can and that'll do the job. You want to measure 25 millimeters up the side here and then make a mark, and then do the same from the top. Measure 25 millimeters from here all the way up to about here, make a mark, and then you want to start actually cutting the can itself on those marks. And a way to do it is to get a book and get a craft knife, and you can measure it up like this. Notice that I've got the book. You don't have to use the whole book, because look, that's too much. So I just take some pages away. See, books are useful for things sometimes. And you put it on the mark that's not high enough, and then so on and so forth. Get to the right size, and then you want to start cutting once you get to the right size, and then you want to start scoring like this. See, nice and easy, and keep going round and round until you cut through, and you've made 2 cuts, and your can will be into 3 separate pieces. Sweet. Now that I've cut my can into 3 pieces, I've got a bottom, a top, and I've got this middle part as well. Now the middle part you want to cut in 2, because what this middle part's going to do is it's going to go into this smaller one, into the middle, into the bottom piece, but you're going to make it so that it fits like this. Alright, kind of like this. There'll be some space. You want it to push up against, there's this bulb here, you want it to fit into like this little, there's a groove that goes across here. You want it to fit it into there, because what that groove will do, and what that'll do, is it'll also fit into this groove in here at the top. And you'll notice that at the moment that's way too tall, so we want this edge here to go down and to sit atop there. So to find out how much I want to cut off or cut down through this piece, I just put this in here, wrap it up so that it fits into that bulb. So I'm wrapping it up so it fits into that bulb, and then you've got a little bit of a gap. We want that gap. And then I'm getting the top piece and I'm fitting that on top. It should fit quite snugly. Okay, and then you can go, okay, I need to get rid of some stuff in here. How much do I get rid of? Well, I measure from here, from this part here on this edge, down to the top of the bottom piece. So notice when I'm measuring here, and your measurement will be different from mine, but I'm measuring 28 millimeters. So then I know, okay, all I have to do is cut 28 millimeters away and throw it away, and then that'll fit in there, and then the top piece will fit on top. That's it, and that'll go in there. What you also want to do is just cut out some small triangles in the bottom, wherever the bottom is for you, to go into the bottom part of your alcohol stove. You want to cut just little tiny triangles, little triangle like this, and another triangle, maybe just a couple. You might not need many, depending on if your edge is quite jagged, which mine is. So just cutting some small triangles, and what that does is when you fill this up with fuel, and this is all assembled properly, when you put the fuel on the top, it'll come out the bottom and go through into the gaps on the side. The way this is assembled is like this, and those little triangles are just cut inside in here, and so it'll let the fuel go into this space here, and then that'll be able to come out the jets that we're going to put on this side here. Okay. With this, I'm going to make this nice and snug like this. I'm just going to hold it And you want to do a really good job, make sure it's nice and snug around that bulb. There's this bulb in the middle, make it nice and snug. And when it's snug, you want to hold it as firmly as possible and hold it together. Notice I'm still holding it, and see the overlapping parts. So what I can do is cut halfway down on one and then halfway up on the other one, and then they'll be able to fit into each other. I'll show you just a moment. Cool, so what I've done is I've just made a little bit of a fold on here so that when I cut down, I'm going to cut down a little bit just on one of them, cut down halfway, so it's only on one side, and then what I'll do is cut down halfway on the other side, and this will make it fit together without having to use any glue. I'm going halfway up on that side there, and now it'll fit together without having to. Notice how it's cut like that. It was like this, so it was like this, and I've cut down on one and up on the other, and so then they can go, one can go inside the other. And put the flappy bits, notice the flappy bits, they're on the inside, and try to be careful with your aluminium because it can tear pretty easily. There we go. It's not quite right, but once it's put together properly, it should still fit snugly into your bulb, and then we'll start working on putting the top bit on. Now I need to put this one on top, and it'll go on the outside a little bit. We want to put the top over the outside. It could go on the inside, it's up to you, depends on how it fits. But this is quite a difficult procedure. What you might want to do, I'm just making sure that all this metal is at least bent out a little bit, and try not to, see I just tore that a little bit, but try to avoid tearing it. If you need some help with keeping it a little bit bigger than the lower part, you could heat this side, you could anneal it, and it'll grow a little bit bigger so it can fit over top. One tricky thing is that trying to get this over top, you might need a bit of help. So what I'm doing is I'm using what's called a shim, which is just a piece of aluminium. So I'm using the leftover aluminium that I cut away, and you slide it like this, and it should help you put it over top of the other one. And try not to get these dents as well. Just made a dent. But you just go around and then have that on top, and then your alcohol stove is almost finished. Now when you're making your holes for your alcohol burner, ideally you want to use a drill, like a little drill bit, and make tiny holes across the whole thing. Or you could use a nail and push it in as well, but ideally you want to use a drill bit. I'm just going to use a screw and just to push it and just to make small holes across the whole thing. And the holes don't have to be very big. They just need to be, as long as they go through, then you're all good. And in fact, the smaller the holes, the better it usually does. If your holes are too big, then it doesn't spray out as well. And if you want to, you can experiment with how high you put the hole. If you put it too high, it might be too difficult to make it. But if you go too low, the alcohol will burn out straight out like this, instead of kind of going up on an angle.